Welcome to In Your Neighborhood. I'm your host, Charlotte Brown, and on today's show, we are talking about remembering the General. And we talk about the General, we're talking about the Port Arthur General. My guests today are Dr. and Mrs. Calhoun. And you have quite the history with the Port Arthur General, from what I understand. Dr. Calhoun graduated from the University of Toronto School of Medicine in 1951. And over the course of your career, you devoted 62 years of exceptional care and family medicine right here in Thunder Bay. That's pretty incredible stuff.
Well, it was it was fun. It was
Yeah.
great. It was a marvelous life.
I betcha.
I,
So what made you choose family medicine?
I worked into it gradually. I was when I first interning. I did 2 years. I did a junior internship, and did a senior internship in internal medicine. I had planned to go on into internal medicine, and actually I had another year laid on. And about halfway through that second year, I really wanted to get out in the cold and cruel. I'd been working. My final 2 years in medicine, I lived in a hospital too. So
Wow.
I was tired of living in hospitals, and I wanted to get out in the real world. And so I get out and did family practice, and I loved it. I was very happy about that choice.
And what made you want to come back to Thunder Bay and have your practice here, as opposed to, you went to school in Toronto, so you had a little bit of exposure to other parts of Canada. What made you really want to come back to Thunder Bay?
Well, I grew up in Thunder Bay. Thunder Bay is basically my hometown. I was born in Windsor, but came back here when I was 5.5 years old, and I've lived here ever since, except when I was in medical school. And I love Thunder Bay. Thunder Bay is a great place to live.
Mm-hmm.
I was invited back by my former family doctor, Dr. Duff, and he asked me to come back, and I thought it was a good idea, and I came back, and I was happy I did.
Wonderful. And Catherine, you did a lot of volunteer work here in the community. So you joined also the Port Arthur Hospital as part of the auxiliary in the early 1950s. So tell me a little bit about your volunteer service and what you did, what your role was.
Well, one of Jim's partners, his wife was they were neighbors, and Florence Johnson. And she said, she invited me to come to an auxiliary meeting, and I thought, gee, this is something I can do with the family. And I just loved the hospital work. And within 2 years, I guess, I was on the I was vice president, then president of the auxiliaries, and then I just kept on doing things. Gift shop was formed at the time that I was in, and took a gift card around to the patients where they could pick up things they'd forgotten to bring or been unable to bring because of time.
Yeah.
And gift things that they could have, newspapers and so forth.
Nice.
That's a happy memory. That was a very useful thing to do. Another thing that we did that was fun was we had a carnation drive, which was a fundraiser. We made a lot of money on it, but all those carnations were handmade.
Wow.
Now they didn't let me make them because I'm not very crafty, but I could make the coffee and tea and do the socializing.
That's right.
And I think they let me try something that was pretty simple.
Nice.
But that was a good fundraiser for us. Another thing that we did was we sent the babies home at Christmas in Christmas stockings. They're still doing it, I think, from the regional. That was a very popular thing to be a baby that had come home from the hospital.
You bet. I'm sure there was a lot of traditions that started back then and
lots
that
of things
carried
like
on
that.
throughout the years.
And could have been a fundraiser, but we just kept it for something special like that.
Now I'm curious,
Sure.
is that how the two of you met, was through the hospital, or I'm just trying to put the math together, or?
No, we'd gone to PACI.
Okay, so even before that.
But we were part of a gang. We weren't a couple. but then we got to Toronto, and somehow he was looking for somebody for a date.
Oh, geez. And the rest is history.
And the rest is history.
Aw,
Exactly.
that's awesome.
That's right.
So, Dr. Cahoon, what have you enjoyed most, or what did you enjoy most about your family practice?
Well, obviously it's the practice. I had a very nice practice. It was full of people I knew and I liked. And I practiced at a more casual pace, and so I took time to talk to people, and my practice ended up being a lot of really interesting people in it. You know, university professors and teachers and nurses and people from who've been around the world, and you sit and talk to them a bit. You know, at the end of some days, after the end of afternoon office hours, I'd sit down and reflect on it, and I'd say, I've had a really nice afternoon. I've had all these nice people in to talk to me, and we've talked, and I've learned stuff from them, and it was enjoyable. And,
Yeah, I bet you build quite a relationship with people that you probably had over their lifetime, where you were their family doctor. You might have from birth, you know, had them throughout their.
oh, lots of them. That
Yeah.
was a very painful thing when I retired. I'd been in family practice here for 60 years, and in those early years, for 4 years I did obstetrics, and so a lot of those babies I delivered, I was then their family doctor, and a lot of them were 40 or 50 years old, and I'm the only doctor they'd ever had, and it was sad actually.
Yeah.
Quitting. They weren't mad at me for quitting because they knew I was old and it's bloody well time I retired.
You earned it.
But,
You earned it.
But at the same time, though, they regretted I was leaving.
Yeah,
So,
I bet you it was sad for a lot of your patients when you made that decision, but you know, well earned for sure. So tell me a little bit about 50 years active staff with the Port Arthur General. On your perspective, like describe how the hospital really advanced over the years to meet the healthcare needs of the region.
Well, hospitals are always changing. You build a school, and the school doesn't change very much for years and years and years. But the hospitals are always changing. You build a new hospital today, and tomorrow it's starting to be obsolete. It's just, we have a brand new hospital. It's not brand new now, but it's a relatively new hospital in Thunder Bay. And there are a lot of changes have been made in it already.
Absolutely.
And there will be more. Medicine changes, procedures change, new techniques, new machines, medicine's changing all the time, and the hospital has to change along with it. So so the hospital you see today is not the same one you saw 10 years ago. This may be changed from yesterday.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to be right back and talk more about remembering the General.